My name is Jessen Forbush. I'm from Spokane, Washington, so not an Idaho guy. I really discovered my passion for technology when I was young. I have always loved just tinkering with things. I used to fix broken game consoles, and all throughout high school, I took a lot of different engineering courses, and I ended up being the only graduate in my high school with an engineering certificate. So that was something that I'm proud of, and it's a good accomplishment that I've had. Coming into college, I didn't know what major I'd pick, and I decided to choose software and try it. And so far, it's been just a great opportunity for me to not only understand the importance of having good software, but how much I love coding. Some other things about me is I have a minor in computer science, and then I'm taking 3 certificates. I'm doing quality assurance. I'm on the fence if I'm doing cloud or database, but one of those. And then software design is my main certificate. That's a really good question. I think when it comes to professors, I have had a lot of help recently from Professor Brother Helfrich, and he's helped me with my not only even going over my resume and helping me build a really good resume, but just helping me understand key software design principles. I've also really enjoyed going to society meetings. I think that those are super important for students to go to for help, but also to connect with people. I think there's a big misunderstanding with our major that we don't connect with people a lot and we're not super social. But if you go to one of those meetings, you'll see a lot of socializing, and there's some amazing people there. Yeah, so I have a few projects. My first one I want to show you guys is a drawing app I made in Swift. This was one that I built for the 310 class, which is a project-based class. And it's something that took me a long time to make, but it's not amazing when it comes to code quality. So that's something I want to focus on. So this is my project. It's called Sketchy because I thought it was a really funny name. It's kind of a sketchy app. So that's why I stuck with it. The biggest feature is just being able to have drawn a canvas. And this tool is really great, I think, for learning. I mean, being able to not only have a display to a screen, some sort of graphics, but also being able to choose different interface options. So one of my options I have is like a color palette, and so that option also includes hex code and a color wheel, as well as just like a scroll bar where you can change the different value manually. So it's super intuitive that way. And it took me a while to figure that out, but I actually used AI to help me figure out how to implement that. And so that was one of the first times I really used AI in helping me code to help me make a better project. And it also has like an eraser tool and then a clear screen. I ended up putting like a tools menu that doesn't work, but it's there. So that's something great. 2 other features that I added to this one is a settings, and then it just has a dark mode toggle. So you're able to go between light and dark mode. And then behind is a animation that I did to make it look fun and colorful. And that one took a long time to make, but I think that it's like my favorite part of this project. And then there's also a load file option, so you can load from a file. So for this code that I did, I ended up splitting up the project itself into 3 different folders. So I had a functions folder for everything that related to what was being used dynamically. And then I had a screens to show the different screens. So like the home screen, the setting screen, and then the drawing screen itself. And then I had a views, which was to kind of show the toolbar, the color wheel, the file picker, all those different types of functionality. And then there's the main, which is essentially just it calls everything and then it displays it. So one thing I want to show is With Swift, there are structs, and that is very similar to classes. They're a little bit different, but one thing that I appreciate about object-oriented programming is the structure that you get from breaking things down into classes, and it organizes the code a lot better. So at this project, I didn't really understand classes or object-oriented programming at this point, and so everything was just in its own file. But you can kind of see here with this code that everything is still pretty readable and identifiable, I guess you could say. And the biggest regret is I didn't add comments, or at least a lot of them, which is super important. And so if you're doing a project, please add comments. It not only helps you, but whoever is reading your code. So yeah, that's this project.
And then we have a second project.
Yeah, I got one more I want to show you guys. Okay, and this is my next project. This is a pair programming project that I worked on with a partner for the CSE 230 class. This class was for the software design certificate, and so we built two projects in this class, and one of them is a Apollo 11 lunar lander simulator. And so it simulated the lunar lander physics and the math and everything surrounding that. And then the next one was a M777 howitzer simulator, which I think was my favorite. So I'm just going to show a little demo of it really quick, of it running. So here's the program running. We can change the direction of the howitzer itself with the arrow keys, and then you can just tap the space bar to shoot the bullet. And then there's a bullet trail, which you can see up here in the top right corner. It records the active variables that are being tracked. So you can see the altitude, the speed, the distance, and the hang time. And then the one thing that's really cool about this project is it uses real math and real physics. And yeah, once you hit the target, which I probably can't do because it's super hard, it will essentially save your time and just say, good job, you hit the target. So yeah, to kind of go over the code and the difference is this is in C++, and so it's a low-level programming language. With this, you split it up into .cpp files and .h files. The .h files essentially store the class itself and the class definition, as well as simple methods that usually aren't more than 1 or 2 lines of code. And the CPP files are where all your functions go. So we can see here in projectile, we have the fire function, and this takes a position, and it takes your degrees and your position and your muzzle velocity, and then it computes everything. And then we'll end up returning the whatever data we need from these functions. So it's very useful to have this type of structure in a programming project, especially something with object-oriented programming, because you can really understand how the code's working a lot more, but also it functions so much better and everything feels perfect. I mean, with a computer, it's either not going to work or it's going to work. So yeah, that's this project. That's a really good question. I think that right now, especially with where we're at in technology and with AI, a really good place to start is asking AI chatbots, hey, where can I apply my skills that I have right here? Actually, recently I was trying to figure out where to start in building projects in specific languages. For example, I'm building my personal portfolio website, and I don't know much JavaScript, and so I was asking ChatGPT, I was saying, hey, how can I break this down into simpler steps for me to understand, even though I don't know the syntax super well? And it was able to help me break it down to my specifications and needs, and I was able to get a good understanding of how it was working. So I would say for students who are having a hard time starting projects, ask for help, use Google, use ChatGPT, use your resources that you have. I think the biggest thing that you can do is use those tools, because you will have a significant advantage compared to everybody else in the field who isn't using those tools. I really like to schedule my time out in my day. I think one important part of just life in general is there's so much going on, and so it's important to understand how much work is required for each class. Sometimes you'll get a 1-credit class that has more work than any 3-credit class you've been taking, and so you need to really be able to break it down and understand how these classes are structured. So I would say my biggest piece of advice is either have a calendar or some sort of to-do list for each day, and do the smallest task first, because as soon as you kind of get a snowball rolling, it gets a lot easier to get into that zone of getting that work done. But also, your professors are here to help, so ask them if you need help. I guess a quick summary of where I'm at right now. There was a few months ago where I was in a spot where I didn't know if this is what I wanted to do. I was super concerned because of AI and all these external, factors that were going into my career and the job market. But I realized that there's a difference between a programmer and an engineer. And when I understood that difference, I really focused on the engineer side and learning how to engineer things properly. And so now going into my final semesters, having a better mindset of building software that is meeting so many different metrics on so many different levels is so much more important than just getting to the solution. You want to incorporate every aspect that you can to make sure that it's meeting the needs of the consumer and the person using that software. So I would say focus on how to build things rather than how to just get to the solution.
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been great having you here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.